Have you ever stopped to think about how many relationships in your life could be stronger, deeper, and more genuine? From friendships to family bonds and professional connections, trust is what allows each of these to truly flourish. But in a world where so many people feel pressured to keep up appearances and avoid vulnerability, building trust has become an ongoing challenge. If you've ever felt frustrated in a friendship where walls seemed too high, or in a work environment where collaboration felt blocked by a lack of mutual trust, you know how this issue impacts our daily lives. After all, without trust, we don't feel secure being ourselves. Personal life becomes a field of expectations and insecurities, while professional life can become a place where fear of judgment stifles ideas and initiatives. If you've noticed that this lack of trust is affecting your relationships and you want to change it, then this video is for you. Today, we're going to explore what it means to build trust authentically. We'll talk about the importance of trusting and being trustworthy, and how this can completely transform the quality of our interactions, both at home and at work. But what really makes someone trustworthy? How can we practically build this essential pillar in a way that truly works and deepens our relationships? In the following sections, we'll go through several essential techniques and tips to help you understand how trust is cultivated. We'll discuss how small gestures and consistent attitudes have the power to strengthen bonds and build deeper connections. Throughout this video, every technique and concept is crafted to be applicable, with practical examples and transformative insights. Trust can indeed be built and maintained in any context. So now that we know why we're here, let's dive deeper into what trust is and why it's so essential to our lives. When we talk about trust, we're referring to something that goes far beyond believing someone will be loyal or won't let us down. Trust is actually a complex but deeply human element that acts as a bridge between people. It's what allows us not only to share our most personal stories and feelings, but also to be open to what others have to offer. Without trust, what remains are shallow relationships marked by doubt and a lack of real connection. According to researcher Brené, trust is built in small moments of exchange and reciprocity. She compares trust to a jar of marbles. Each small act of transparency, every promise kept, adds another marble to the jar. On the other hand, breaches of trust take marbles out, weakening the structure we've built. This marble jar concept helps us visualize how small actions, over time, create a solid and secure relationship. Trust is essential because, without it, we feel exposed and insecure. In personal relationships, this lack of trust can turn important moments into tense occasions, as every word or gesture might seem laden with hidden motives. In professional settings, the absence of trust directly impacts productivity and collaboration. When we don't trust our colleagues or team leader, we close ourselves off from new ideas, fearing judgment or rejection. What makes this dynamic even more interesting is that trust is a two-way street. While we want to trust those around us, we also want to be seen as trustworthy. This desire for reciprocity is what makes trust so powerful and, at the same time, so fragile. Often, to gain trust, we must first demonstrate it ourselves. Thus, building trust doesn't mean acting perfectly or always having the right answer. It's mainly about making room for authenticity and vulnerability. And here's a crucial point. For trust to grow, we must be willing to show who we truly are. Admitting uncertainties and even sharing our limitations is an essential part of this process. Vulnerability, though it may feel risky, is one of the most powerful elements in creating true bonds, and that's exactly what we'll discuss next. Once we understand that trust is built in the details and requires openness and authenticity, we're taking the first step toward changing the way we relate to others. So let's move on to the next point: how vulnerability can be the key to strengthening trust and building even more solid relationships. The idea of vulnerability can often make us uncomfortable. In a world where strength and self-sufficiency are highly valued, admitting weaknesses or opening up can feel risky. But according to Brené Brown, vulnerability is actually the foundation upon which trust is built. Without it, it's hard to establish a truly real and deep connection with others. To understand the importance of vulnerability, we first need to demystify the term. Being vulnerable doesn't mean exposing every detail of your life or sharing everything you feel all the time. True vulnerability is about being willing to show who you are without masks or pretenses. This means being transparent about doubts, fears, and even uncertainties, always respecting personal boundaries as well as those of the other person. When we show this humanity, we send a signal of authenticity that encourages others to do the same. In the workplace, for example, vulnerability might look like admitting you need help on a project or that an idea didn't work out as planned. Many leaders avoid this kind of openness, fearing it might make them seem incompetent. However, this very attitude is what creates a sense of closeness and authenticity, fostering an environment of trust and openness within the team. When a leader admits mistakes or limitations, the team feels they can do the same without fear of retaliation. In our personal lives, vulnerability is what allows relationships to move beyond the superficial. Think of a friendship or family relationship where no one ever admits to having a bad day or where feelings are always hidden. This can create the impression that everyone is fine all the time, but in practice, it tends to build a barrier. That's why moments of vulnerability, like admitting when we're hurt or when we need support, bring people closer together, creating a solid foundation of mutual trust. However, being vulnerable also requires courage and discernment. It's not about indiscriminate openness, but about knowing when and with whom to share. That's why vulnerability goes hand in hand with authenticity and reciprocity. When we show vulnerability, we allow others to do the same, creating a bond of trust that only grows stronger over time. Vulnerability might seem like a tough barrier to cross, but it's the first step toward building truly meaningful relationships. By practicing it, we start to create what Brown calls a solid foundation of trust, a fertile ground for genuine connections to grow. Now that we understand the central role of vulnerability, let's dive into 4 practical techniques to build and reinforce trust in both personal and professional relationships. Each technique is designed to be simple to understand and easy to apply. Let's get started. 1. Transparent and honest communication. The first technique is transparent and honest communication. It's nearly impossible to build trust without clarity in what we say and what we expect from others. Transparent communication means saying what we truly mean, without hidden agendas or ambiguous messages, and this applies to both praise and constructive criticism. Take, for example, a conversation with a colleague. If you need help but hesitate to ask directly, you might give the impression that everything's under control. However, when you communicate openly and clearly about your needs or concerns, it invites the other person to step in and offer support. This fosters an environment of collaboration and respect, where everyone knows they can rely on each other's honesty. In personal relationships, transparency is equally essential. How many misunderstandings have arisen simply because we didn't clearly express our feelings or needs? When we're honest and transparent, we prevent unrealistic expectations or resentments from building up. This strengthens trust because the other person knows they can count on us to be truthful, even in tough times. 2. Consistency and commitment. The second technique is consistency, paired with commitment. Trust isn't built on a single action, but through repeated gestures over time. This means keeping small promises, staying true to your word, and being a constant presence, all of which add marbles to the trust jar. In the workplace, consistency shows up in simple ways: meeting deadlines, maintaining an ethical and professional attitude, and showing up for team activities and commitments. These actions demonstrate to colleagues and leaders that you are a reliable, committed person, strengthening the foundation of trust everyone aims to build. In personal life, commitment can be even more direct. Imagine, for example, promising a friend or family member that you'll be there to support them through a tough time. When you follow through, it shows that the relationship matters to you. Each consistent action fortifies the trust bond, proving to the other person that they can truly count on you. 3. Active listening. The third practical technique for building trust is active listening. Often, when listening to someone, we're already thinking about our response or even about a personal issue. However, active listening requires us to be 100% present, fully focused on what the other person is sharing. In a professional setting, active listening can be a major differentiator. When a leader listens attentively to their team, it creates an environment where everyone feels valued and safe to share ideas and concerns. Among colleagues, practicing active listening helps prevent conflicts and misunderstandings, allowing for more open and genuine communication. In personal relationships, active listening shows the other person that their words and feelings matter. It means making eye contact, nodding, and asking questions that show genuine interest. Trust is built when the other person knows we're truly listening, not just waiting for our turn to speak. 4. Taking responsibility. The fourth and final practical technique in this chapter is the ability to take responsibility. Trust doesn't mean perfection, and we're all bound to make mistakes. What really matters in those moments is our willingness to take responsibility and take action to correct what went wrong. In a professional environment, taking responsibility is essential. Imagine you make an error in a critical project. Instead of blaming external factors or hiding the problem, owning up to it sends a clear message. You are reliable, don't shy away from challenges, and are willing to learn and grow. This approach not only reinforces your credibility, but also fosters a culture of trust where everyone feels safe to acknowledge mistakes and work toward solutions. In personal relationships, the importance of taking responsibility is equally significant. A common mistake is to ignore conflicts or misunderstandings, hoping time will fix the issue. However, simply acknowledging an error and apologizing if necessary strengthens bonds of trust and prevents resentments from building up. These 4 techniques, transparent communication, consistency, active listening, and taking responsibility, are essential foundations for building true trust. By practicing them regularly, you create an environment where those around you feel valued and secure, encouraging them to reciprocate this behavior as well. Now that we've covered these strategies, let's explore the benefits that a trusting relationship brings, both in personal life and in the workplace, and understand why it's so worthwhile to invest in building trust. Building trust is an effort that pays off at every step. When we cultivate this solid foundation in our relationships, the benefits are profound and transformative, impacting our personal lives, professional environments, and even our emotional health. Let's explore how mutual trust can enhance our connections, foster security, and create a cooperative atmosphere across all areas. First and foremost, trust provides emotional security. In a personal relationship, like a friendship or partnership, trust allows each person to be authentic without fear of judgment or retaliation. Knowing we can express our feelings, fears, and joys without being misunderstood builds a connection that goes beyond the surface. In family relationships, for example, trust creates a safe space for resolving conflicts maturely as everyone feels heard and respected. This reinforces bonds and enables challenges to be faced together rather than as opponents. In the professional sphere, trust transforms team dynamics. When team members trust each other, they have more freedom to share ideas, ask questions, and even admit mistakes without constant fear of judgment. This collaborative environment boosts productivity and facilitates knowledge sharing, as everyone knows they can count on each other's support. In a team where trust is present, work stops being a solitary burden and becomes a group effort where each person feels part of something bigger. Another key benefit is the strengthening of self-esteem and individual well-being. When we're seen as trustworthy and feel we can rely on others, it reinforces our sense of self-worth. In family settings and friendships, this means being recognized as someone people can turn to in difficult times. This sense of being needed and valued boosts our self-esteem and promotes lasting well-being, as we feel like an active part of the relationships we've built. Mutual trust also drastically reduces conflicts. In environments where trust is low, small mistakes and misunderstandings can quickly become major obstacles. When trust is present, however, we're more likely to give others the benefit of the doubt and to seek peaceful resolutions. In practice, this means that a delay at work or an out-of-context remark is less likely to be seen as a personal affront and more as an opportunity to improve communication and align expectations. In this way, trust acts as a buffer, reducing friction and easing the challenges that inevitably arise in relationships. Finally, trust in professional relationships helps build a solid reputation, which is essential for growth and personal fulfillment. A professional known for being trustworthy is more valued in the market, as they inspire confidence in clients and colleagues alike. Additionally, knowing that others recognize this trustworthiness motivates us to uphold and strengthen this behavior, creating a virtuous cycle of self-confidence and personal development. In summary, mutual trust not only enriches our relationships but also fosters a sense of belonging and purpose. It allows each of us to feel valued and secure, whether in personal relationships, friendships, or at work. By building trust, we're actually laying a solid foundation for more fulfilling and meaningful connections. Now that we've explored the many benefits of mutual trust, let's also consider some common mistakes that can undermine it, so we can avoid these pitfalls and further strengthen our bonds. While building trust is invaluable, it's also delicate. Small mistakes, often unintentional, can erode trust and create strain in relationships. Identifying and avoiding these mistakes is key to preserving what was built with so much effort. One of the most common mistakes is a lack of transparency. This happens when we omit information or choose to skip over details, thinking it will avoid conflict. However, these omissions can create the impression that we're hiding something, leading to insecurity and doubts about our intentions. In personal life, this can show up in areas like finances or even withholding feelings. In professional settings, it can appear when we avoid sharing issues or challenges with the team. To avoid this, it's essential to practice open and honest communication, as highlighted in the techniques we discussed. Another mistake that often damages trust is making promises we can't keep. Broken commitments give an impression of inconsistency and make others hesitant to rely on our word. This behavior is especially harmful in the workplace, where meeting deadlines and responsibilities is crucial to maintaining respect and trust from colleagues and leaders. If you realize you won't be able to fulfill something, it's wiser to communicate this early and transparently rather than overpromise and disappoint. Additionally, a lack of reciprocity can also undermine trust. Trust-based relationships are usually balanced, with both parties making an effort to support and respect each other. When only one person is investing time and energy into strengthening the bond, the other may feel undervalued. To avoid this, aim to reciprocate gestures and support, showing that the relationship matters to you. Lastly, a mistake that seriously undermines trust is avoiding responsibility. Trying to sweep problems under the rug or blaming others instead of acknowledging our own mistakes can quickly erode trust. Admitting a fault or apologizing when necessary shows maturity and responsibility, while avoiding these steps reveals a lack of commitment to the relationship. Now that we understand these common mistakes, we're better prepared to avoid them and keep our relationships strong and healthy. Up next, we'll go over essential tips for sustaining trust over time, ensuring it remains solid through the challenges of daily life. Sustaining trust over time requires consistent effort and attention, much like tending a plant that needs regular care to grow and strengthen. Here are a few simple yet powerful practices to ensure the trust you've built in your relationships remains solid and even deepens with time. First, keep communication open and revisit important conversations as needed. Even in the best relationships, expectations can change or misunderstandings may arise. Periodically check in with the other person, asking how they're feeling, discussing expectations, and addressing any challenges. This kind of dialogue not only keeps the relationship aligned, but also shows that you care about their well-being and the trust between you. Another key practice is to demonstrate consistency in your actions. Whether it's in keeping promises or in how you treat the other person, consistency offers a sense of security. Remember, people trust those who act in a predictable and coherent manner. Small, everyday actions, like being punctual, responding to messages, or supporting the other person through difficult times, make all the difference. Lastly, remember to celebrate achievements and meaningful moments together. This means acknowledging and reciprocating the other person's efforts and celebrating important milestones together. This habit strengthens emotional bonds and reaffirms each person's commitment to the relationship, creating a positive cycle of trust and care. These practices, though simple, are essential to maintaining trust and ensuring it continues to grow. In the conclusion, we'll summarize the key points from this video and encourage you to apply these techniques to enjoy healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Building trust is a journey, and each technique we've covered in this video can be a powerful step towards strengthening your relationships. By practicing transparent communication, staying consistent, listening actively, and taking responsibility, you're cultivating an environment where trust can thrive and where everyone feels valued and secure. Remember that, although mistakes may happen, avoiding them and adopting consistent practices over time will fortify your personal and professional connections. If you want to transform your relationships, start by applying one of these techniques today. And if you enjoyed the content, give it a like and share it with someone who could benefit from these tips. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new videos on personal development and strengthening relationships. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video for more valuable insights.